How was the food on the cruise ship? As a guest on board a cruise ship, one thing people come for is the cuisine. And for the most part, cruise ships have a lot of great dining options. Even the buffet. Great, great selection. A lot of fruit, a lot of food, a lot of different cuisine from different cultures, stuff like that. They really do try to accommodate. But if you look at it from a different perspective, it can be kind of not that good. Basically, as a crew member, you view both your crew food differently and you view the passenger food differently. Crew food, it's not that bad. The thing about cruise ships, and especially working on a cruise ship, a thing I would advise is to, I'm not going to say go into it with an open mind. You should go into it with an open mind. But you need to realize working or living on a cruise ship is a different life. It's not even a lifestyle. It's a different life. And I think a lot of people who struggle working on cruise ships struggle because they try to bring their old life onto the ship. And you can't do it all the time. There's some aspects you can make work, but it's like going to the moon. It doesn't matter how much oxygen you like on Earth, it's not there. You're not going to be able to breathe it there. And now the thing is, I didn't know this the first time. I did as much research as I could. I watched as many YouTube videos as I could, but there's still a little bit of a culture shock. Because there's just things you can only experience, and there's only so much research that you can do, and there's only so many opinions that you can hear and try and come up with your own decision. But the truth is, it'll be totally different for you. And then when you finish, you might want to tell people your experience and kind of help bridge the gap in that aspect. People who struggle with the cuisine on cruise ship, crew members, let's talk about, are people with strict diets, people with health problems, stuff like that. So if you're a vegetarian, you can do it. If you're a vegan, probably can't do it. If you're a whole different tier, like raw, organic, something, absolutely not. And if those things are really important to you, I have friends who the food that they eat is the most important thing to them. It's what their day is revolved around. They are not cruise ship ready. That is not something that they should do. You don't have to eat potato chips and chocolate and sugar all day and all night, but you are limited to what they offer you. And the more picky you are, or the more dietary needs that you expect, the less likely it's going to happen. You see what I'm saying? So for someone like me, I want it to be healthier, but I'm not going to not eat because they have something I don't necessarily want at that moment. Now, on the other hand, they have a lot of options that are tempting, like desserts, and cakes, and sweets, and fried stuff, and stuff that's not good for you and tastes good, And it's a lot of it's there a lot, and so it's sometimes easier to just grab pizza every day. Some people eat pizza every day because the other food they hate, and it's all they can stomach. Other people eat pizza every day because it's easy and quick and delicious. Both those people are only eating pizza, and both those people are not having a good time. The crew food is different than the guest food. The thing about the guests tend to have a less cultural difference. The majority of guests, at least on my ships, were American, and then there were minority groups from other countries as part of it. So you could say that most of the cuisine on cruise ships is geared toward Americans, or at least, I guess, what stereotypically food in America is. Whereas the crew on cruise ships, Americans, is the minority. And you have all these other cultures who have way more people. And so what you'll notice in the crew areas is that the cuisine tends to favor toward other cultures. That's at least that's what I saw. On my cruise ship, though, we had 2 different crew mess halls. And one was referred to the crew mess, and one was referred to the staff mess. And there is a line that is different between what is considered a crew member and what a staff member is. And basically, at least in the way I saw it, were staff members were allowed to go and eat in public areas, and crew were not. And so depending on your apartment, justifies whether you are staff or crew. I mean, we're all crew members. We're all part of the crew. But in that sense of the crew mess, the staff mess, crew wasn't allowed in the guest areas, basically. So you would see that now the majority of the crew members who ate in the crew mess were non-Americans, and more specifically, they, like I said before, the majority of crew members, at least on the ships I worked on, were Filipino. And so a lot of cuisine that was prepared, especially in the crew mess, was more geared toward the Filipino palate, or an Asian palate, or an Eastern palate. It was good, Definitely, stuff I never really, stuff I don't eat as much, but I'm from America, But when I tried it, a lot of rice, also a lot of carbs too. But even in the staff mess, there was a lot of rice. A lot of less expensive stuff that comes in bulk that you can feed a lot of people. Stuff like that. I mean, you get it. It's bulk cafeteria. I mean, you're feeding thousands of people every day. Of course they're going to get some cheap stuff. But they did always have greens, salads, stuff like that. They always had some kind of fruit, some kind of meat, and it just kind of depended. It's true though, after a while, especially if you're eating in the crew and staff mess all the time. Like, I was so fortunate that I was in the entertainment department, and we were given front-facing opportunities, and I could eat in passenger areas, because sometimes you do get sick of the staff mess, and the choices are limited, to kind of just what they serve that day. So, if we're allowed to eat, I was allowed to eat in the buffet, for the most part. If it's crowded or there's a high risk of like passable sickness going on the ship, then crew members not allowed in passenger areas, stuff like that. But for the most part, I was allowed in the public areas, and I could eat in the buffet, and the food was more plentiful there, and there were more options. However, it is cruise ship food, and kind of like if you're going out to eat every night at home, a lot of stuff is full of butter, oil, salt, sugar. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be the healthiest food, but there are more options. And I actually found, because I wanted to eat better while living on cruise ships, that having those options to choose something healthy over something that was not healthy made it easier for me. For instance, I am kind of lazy at home, and I don't go to the store and buy lettuce and tomatoes and carrots and celery and peppers and cucumbers and all these things, and then cut them up, slice them up, wash them and clean them and chop them, and then prepare them all and make a big, delicious salad. I don't do that at home. It's a lot of work for a salad. And I love salad, but that's a lot of work. So I just don't eat salad. I'm lazy. But on the cruise ship, when you walk into the buffet, the first thing there is a big salad bar. And guess what they have? Chopped lettuce, onions, tomatoes, celery, cucumbers, beans, all the elements to the best salad you can make, and it's all chopped up. And all I have to do is do scoop, 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 big salad, 2 seconds, and a little bit of dressing, and I'm eating a salad, because it was no work except to put the stuff on my plate. I didn't have to chop this stuff, you know what I'm saying? Now that same motivation goes to something else. They have burgers all the time, and hot dogs, and corn dogs, and French fries, and you just go, so you just kind of have to not go to those lines if that's not what you're trying to eat, and I definitely had occasions where I would eat pizza and burgers, sometimes you're craving it, you know. But I would go to the grill station and get maybe a grilled chicken, put that on my salad, and have a really nice meal. You know what I mean? It's you have to have the willpower to make the right choice, but at the same time, you need to be given the choice in order to make that choice. So, and sometimes in the crew mess areas, you don't feel like you have the choice, and that's where people struggle. Some ships, some cruise lines, you have to eat in the crew areas every meal all the time. So I was very fortunate, and Norwegian Cruise Line is an incredibly good company if you work in departments, because they do give you lots of privilege. Some cruise lines don't let you drink in public areas. Norwegian does. Some cruise lines don't let you eat in public areas. Norwegian does. So it was just my food experience on the cruise ship was better. Now, my first cruise ship partner in the broadcasting, I think he ate a crepe after dinner every night, and he gained some weight. It wasn't as noticeable, and it wasn't my place to tell him, hey man, you should probably stop eating crepes so much. But if you eat a crepe every day for 6 months, would you do that at home? Probably not. I wouldn't. I also don't have a crepe machine or a guy who makes crepes in my kitchen. You know what I'm saying? So this is one of those things I say, you know, as a crew member, you can't live like you're a passenger, because passengers can eat unhealthy for 7 days and it's fine, you know. But if you can't, I don't think you should eat unhealthy for, 6 months, because you'll be hurting, you know. And if you do more than one contract, it's just going to be a struggle, and we're working a lot on ships, so you got to make the good choices in order to keep the energy up. You know what I'm saying? So my advice, try and do your research and work for a company that and get a position and work for a company that gives you that front-facing opportunity, so you can eat. You have more choices to eat. You know what I'm saying? Also on the cruise ship, we have all these specialty restaurants, steakhouses and stuff like that. And crew members with a front-facing opportunities like me, I could book a reservation and go to one of these specialty restaurants. You know what I'm saying? And you could take dates there. You could go and you got to pay for it. I don't know if there was a discount. I can't remember at this point. But and if you buy like a bottle of wine there, it's full passenger price, like $30 for a bottle or whatever. So when I would go to these specialty restaurants, I would not get wine, because afterward I would just go to Crew Bar and get a $3 bottle of wine. You see what I'm saying? So food on cruise ships is a big deal for passengers. That is part of the experience on cruise ships. So the food has to be pretty good. Crew member food is just probably not going to be on the same level, but I mean, it's fine. It's just you don't have as many options, and it's not, you don't have it readily available 24/7. The crew areas had specific times you'd eat, specific hours, and then the specific choices of food that day. So it was more limiting. You know what I mean? And so having that privilege to eat in passenger areas was much appreciated. So I didn't think it was that bad. There were definitely meals I didn't like, and things I tried that I didn't like, and things I tried I did like that I didn't even know how to pronounce. And sometimes I would just put it on a plate, scarf it down, and go back to work, and then sometimes I'd go and I'd take my time and make something exactly the way I wanted it. But long contracts with cuisine that's you're not used to eating is it can take its toll too. So really the honest truth is, try to not be picky about food, and if you're eating not that healthy, maybe try to exercise when you can on the ship. Any free time you have, try and exercise or whatever, because a lot of people have, food, sometimes poor food choices, working a lot so you don't exercise, lack of sleep because you're working so much, and drinking at night because that's where everybody goes. That recipe of those things can really hurt some people, and 6 months later they get home and they're like, what have I done? But for me, yeah, I tried to make good choices in the when I ate. Grilled chicken, not fried. Salad when I could. You know what I'm saying? I ran on the treadmill when I could. Went outside when I could. I try not to overeat. You know, try to eat fruit, vegetables, steamed stuff. Not buttery stuff. I tried to get steamed vegetables when I could. But like I said, it was easier for me to go through the line and say, this is healthy, this is healthy, this is healthy, that's not, skip it, and then I have a plate of food, rather than being at home. It's hard. I got to go to the grocery store. So I'm going to get this and this, then I'm going to take it home, I'm going to cut it up, I'm going to cook it. Like, man, I'm lazy. So giving food is nice. That is a nice perk on the cruise ship, is somebody else making you food. It's up to you just to make the choice. So make good choices, stay healthy, and bon appetit.